Hey guys, Lex here, back for some more of the Great Ace Attorney. Last time we got introduced to Giselle Brett, and now let's take a look at this burn mark. You will identify for the court. In this print, we see the significant detail to which you alluded. Right here. Come on. Oh, why? Look at this, here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That's true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new profile you would come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yeah, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the case, to the cause of death, so he didn't note it on his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when this victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to this case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. La 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 la. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean of and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, my dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn has something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if we don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we could just link that burn to this case, we could do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open. Give up, counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I haven't noticed the burn. But as soon as you pointed out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between the burn and the case. The plate? This is the moment of truth. Time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So that the defense will not present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial.
Yes!
What's this, counsel? Yet another print. Yes, Your Excellency, I believe these photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at the scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What's in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah! Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnival. Ah! The emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn. He was dead beforehand. Or exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you're genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that's the case, we can't know if it happened the day in question or not. It could have been the day before or the day before that. It most likely happened some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
See, he says objection. Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion at the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? Can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I could testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
Yes, that's true. There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. Yet, Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right, and the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, counsel. And the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Professor Ouchie? I'm Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? 'Cause he was dead already. I almost don't believe it, Ryunosuke, do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led to a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of that makes sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Rip, dead, was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from one particular situation. Counsel, what are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! Order. Please, counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student. But clearly he has no grasp of the facts. Objection. Hey guys, Editor Lex here. So I spent a few minutes thinking about how the murder could have been done. I was originally thinking that Dr. Wilson was poisoned, but the post-mortem report mentions that the cause of death was caused by the gunshot wound. And I totally forgot that they mentioned earlier that the post-mortem report could be unreliable. And that really confused me. Anyway, here's a clip of them saying that.
In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. Crazy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way.
Amateurs. And let's continue. No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it is you who has no grasp of the facts. Beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from the witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency. The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. What a good judge. Thank you, Your Excellency. I did it. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. What? You speak Japanese? Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Wasting your time. See, well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will not ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So we're finally going to hear her own words on this matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. The victim's death.
Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report shows no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Poison! I poisoned him with the club that's in my bag. Hello? But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't have picked up on it anyway.
The most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it.
I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone talking shit. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. It seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's bird is utterly irrelevant. I'll be speaking to the country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment as possible. Amen.
Thanks. Was that a prayer, then? Well, you have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now.
Huh.
I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear?
Yes!
Hi. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Yeah, I don't know how accurate that is.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from a ballistic trauma.
Yes. Luckily for us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us,
as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death.
It can only have been a bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
That doesn't make any sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. If the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought from the kitchen, then he must already been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the correct evidence to disprove that, this is complete waste of time.
I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right.
Ah!
Yes!
Without leaving a trace.
If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height, however, a person's life is taken, there are always a telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased. There can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga?
As I've said, I was aiming for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces all over those cause of death, that's for sure. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark.
If heaven forbid you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question.
Oh my, on my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ouchie, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions.
Way of killing someone that leaves no trace. Need some evidence to back us up here.
Yeah, evidence. But of course.
Yes!
Agreed. Inferior? What do you mean by that?
In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it, isn't that so? Quite right. Le Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes...
Huh?
Even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand?
Ah, a killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't quite seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be a clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosonaga. Detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant, if it might present an opening maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on her last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we could get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma was thinking. Find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again.
Wait.
Wait. Yes, there it is again. Detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find that they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all has to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with the left and right D-pad, you could turn your attention to other people on the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. If you catch that person at the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere among people on the stand, take a good look around. Right then. So first I should move the marker across. Then pursue them with A and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Exactly. That means the investigation takes a different direction. Vital evidence may be lost.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
What?
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. I was really lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looked like you were thinking just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court.
Objection!
What's the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately.
Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is at the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yeah? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just now by Miss Brett? Did he take a sip of the poison? That's why he's coughing? Well, yeah, if you don't mind, I would like to speak.
You what? You what?
The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have any evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Crime scene thief. He took the coin. The Koban coin. Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that the bottle of carbonated water that I took in the victim's table the day in question? And yes, it lost a lot of fizz. having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Ahem. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept a glass bottle of water as evidence. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death?
Yeah, it was that bottle.
What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel. You may resume the cross-examination. The inspector will kindly control his fervor. Ahem. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. What does poison mean? Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it says it's French. This must be very expensive water. But what does it say? That's what I'm asking. Go in France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. The last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like that's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much I'm absolutely parched. Just have a little sip to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke. In more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water, like poison? What's the matter? You got quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. There's nothing in the bottom.
Yes!
What's this? The bottle of water. Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison.
Poison?
On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Oh wait, he said huh. Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from the glass? Order, order, order. And on that day, who was sitting on the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous! To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusation could jeopardize the entire treaty?
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime.
What?
The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Grr.
If I may, I will silence you forever. Shut up! It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady.
Where did that come from? She just snapped.
I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my humblest apologies.
I'm sorry, milady. To what are you referring?
I described your police as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not.
Of course. You did? Have you forgotten my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. You don't believe it? Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. So she poisoned the cup and then took the evidence with her.
What? Are you sure?
The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself.
No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
Dead. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place as if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding the weapon, is the only possible culprit. Done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience that has caused you, Brispret.
Oh no, I was just glad that the matter is resolved.
Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Yes. The bag. Kazuma? Sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more.
Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving. See ya, nerds.
Wait, who said that? Wait, was it Masato or Susato? Forged evidence.
Please wait.
Isn't that... What's the meaning of this?
Forgive me for intruding on the court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense.
Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in furoshiki cloth. Next time... Okay, that was a long one. Next time, we'll continue this, so don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Bye!